Hello there everyone, and welcome to your weekly MTA plan work video for the Queens Subways and the Long Island Railroad for the weekend of June 28th, 2019, and lasting until the official first day of July, which will be Monday, July 1st, 2019. There are two notable events taking place in the New York City metropolitan area this weekend. I will get to the first one in just a second, which has to do with the 7. But the main event, which will be taking place this Sunday, June 30th, will be, of course, the Pride March, which will be going to the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village this weekend. So a very important way for the LGBT community to wrap up their Pride Month before we move on to July. So we'll get to some important stuff about that. More importantly, Long Island Railroad service changes. But more importantly, first up, let's talk about the 7, because there's a notable event taking place at Citi Field this weekend. So first up, is there any work on the 7? Good news is there is no planned work on the 7, and we'll get to the main reason right now. This Saturday, June 29th, before the start of the Mets-Braves game, the New York Mets will be honoring the 50th anniversary of the 1969 team. As you clearly can see here, here's a picture of what it was back in 1969, of course, but yes, they will be honoring their miracle Met team that overcame the odds and ended up winning the World Series in 1969, which is very important that the Mets do so. I feel that it's necessary, and hopefully the New York Jets will honor the 50th anniversary of when they won the Super Bowl this upcoming season, and I'm kind of hoping the Knicks will next season honor the 1970 team that won the championship back in, of course, the 69-70 season. So a lot of notable events in the sports community in New York when it comes to the teams that won, and honestly that's where I'm going to leave it off from. But figured I would bring that up because it's a notable event. And I will quickly mention that if you are going to the Met Brave game on Saturday, June 29th at Citi Field, just remember that the pre-game ceremony will take place earlier on. I'm not too sure what time it'll start, but try to get to Citi Field early because it's very important that you witness history. I was supposed to go to this, but I'm down here in Maryland, so I can't do anything about it. Which honestly, again, I would have loved to gone, but it's whatever at this point. Let's get to the N. Only on Saturday in Queens, the 29th, 3:45 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday. A story about N trains will skip 39th, 36th, and 30th Avenue, including Broadway, because of track replacements. Also, I quickly want to bring this up. W Service will run to provide the extra capacity crowds expected for the Pride Parade, so it will be available on Sunday. So just be wary that if you need extra service, you will have it. I want to mention the trains will run between Whitehall Street and Ditmars Boulevard. How's the R this weekend? June 28th for the 30th, 9:45 p.m. to 11 p.m. Friday, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Manhattan-bound R trains will run express from Forest Hill, 71st Avenue, to Queens Plaza because of track maintenance. How about the Blue Line? How is the E doing? June 28th through July 1st, 9:45 p.m. to 5 a.m. Friday to Monday. World Trade Center bound E-trains will run express from Forest Hill 71st Avenue to Queens Plaza because of electrical improvements. So it's not just the R that's going to be impacted, the E will also be impacted this weekend. June 28th through July 1st, same time frame. World Trade Center bound E-trains will skip Briarwood and 75th Avenue because of, once again, electrical improvements. Now let's get to the F and the G line because once again more headaches in Brooklyn. June 28th through July 1st, 9:45 p.m. Friday to 5 a.m. Monday. First up, we'll just get the Queens segment out of the way. Why not? I mean, the PowerPoint suggesting it. Manhattan-bound Fs will skip 7 Boulevard, Briarwood, and 75th Avenue because of the electrical improvement project along the Queens Boulevard line. So again, clarify, you will see notable changes this weekend on the Queens Boulevard line with the E, F, and the R train. Once again, M trains are running between Middle Village Metropolitan and 2nd Avenue 96th Street because of the L train project. So just quickly want to get that out of the way. Now let's get to Brooklyn, because this is very important. June 28th through July 1st, 9:45 p.m. Friday to 5 a.m. Monday. Southbound F and G train. So again, this will be taking place in Brooklyn this weekend, so please pay attention. Southbound F and Gs will skip Fort Hamilton Parkway, 15th Street Prospect Park, and 4th Avenue 9th Street because of track maintenance. So again, this will be taking place in Brooklyn for another weekend, because last weekend, if you recall, they were doing the same maintenance on northbound service. So now it's southbound's turn to experience these headaches. So just be wary of that. I'm letting you all know right now, because you may get caught off guard if you're on a southbound G train coming from Queens if you're transferring from Court Square. So just be wary of that. I'm just giving you all the warning right now. Now we'll go to the A and the C lines. We're going to have headaches in Brooklyn on the A and the C. Now, of course, I have to bring up Brooklyn because remember, you have interborough service that goes between Queens and Brooklyn, and I don't want anybody getting a headache. So that's why I'm doing this. June 28th through July 1st, 9:45 p.m. Friday to 5 a.m. Monday. This will be Manhattan-bound A and C trains in Brooklyn. We'll skip Kingston Thorpe Avenue, Franklin Avenue, Clinton Washington Avenue, and Lafayette Avenue because of signal maintenance. So once again, this work will be taking place in Brooklyn. And lastly, let's go to that brown line. How's the J looking? There's no work on the J. Fantastic. So people in Ozone Park are not screwed this weekend. Yay! That is excellent news. The J and the 7 are the only 2 lines in Queens that are not going to see any service changes this weekend. So that makes 2 of them this entire weekend. So that is excellent news with both the J and the 7 this weekend. That's excellent news. Now, we got our Queens subway changes out of the way. We will now take a look at what's going on with the Long Island Railroad. We have now reached the Long Island Railroad service changes portion of our video this week. And one noticeable thing I have found out, and thanks to Andy Kitto for telling me this, is that we have no extra trains for the Pride March. So that is very suspicious. It's quite possible the LGBT community could look into filing a Title VI just because of this. Is it a possibility that the MTA is violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964? It is definitely a possibility. Now, I don't want to rant, because what happened was I tried ranting and my mind just went all over the place. So I just decided to be rational and just be fair and say that someone should look into getting a lawyer. That's all I'm saying. I don't know who should look into it, but it's possible. But anyhow, let's get on to a serious note. We have notable other changes. And I'm also going to read you a press release which has some good news about the Atlantic Ticket Program that we will get to at the very end. So first up, we're going to talk about work on the main line, and I got a bad feeling the cheese may be coming back. And then we got state of good repair, which we're going to get to. So first up, I like to talk about the main line. This weekend, June 29th and Sunday, June 30th, switch installation work near Hicksville, track surfacing work at Culver Avenue in New Hyde Park, and track testing between Huntington and Port Jefferson will require weekend service reduction and overnight busing. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if they go old school and bring back the cheese. It's quite possible. Alright, so let's talk about Penn Station to Huntington. Beginning this Saturday, June 29th at 12:35 a.m. and continuing until 1 a.m. Monday morning, July 1st. Train service between Huntington and Penn Station will be reduced from half-hourly to hourly, with trains making all local stops between Huntington and New Hyde Park. Huntington and Port Jefferson. Overnight through the morning period from 12:35 a.m. till 9:28 a.m. Saturday, June 29th, and from 12:39 a.m. through 9:28 a.m. on Sunday, June 30th, buses will be replacing trains between Port Jefferson and Huntington for 9 hours to accommodate Sperry rail testing. Alright, so this is only overnight, so that's good news. Finally. Actually, when you look at it, I actually am in favor of this. It's only overnight. Hey. But I warn you now, later on in July, there's going to be a big headache, and I'm not going to get into it until that weekend service changes, but it's just a spoiler alert. You can look it up in the committee books for this month. But anyhow, buses will be replacing trains between Port Jefferson and Huntington, once again, to accommodate Sperry rail testing. First eastbound train will be Friday night's 11:42 train from Penn Station. Westbound buses will depart up 25 minutes earlier than normal train times. Daytime weekend service between Port Jefferson and Huntington will be reduced from every 90 minutes to every 2 hours. There is some good news on the Ronkonkoma line. Some Ronkonkoma trains will be adding stops at Mineola, and some departure arrival times will change. So once again, this is just information regarding the headache on the main line this weekend. Now let's get into more headaches regarding Amtrak. Now, why are we bringing up Amtrak? Well, starting this Monday, we will have new timetables reflecting weekday changes due to Amtrak station renewal work. Morning and evening rush hour trains will be affected to offset the changes. 5 trains will be added and select trains to be lengthened. So once again, this is starting on Monday, July 1st, and I will highlight this right now. And will be going until Friday, July 12th. So again, this is until Friday, July 12th. Amtrak will be resuming its state of good repair work at Penn Station on a complex of switches known as JO interlocking. Long Island Railroad's capacity track space into Penn Station will be limited. Due to Amtrak's repair work, Long Island Railroad will divert or cancel 7 of the 144 rush hour trains and 7 of the 130 evening rush hour trains, once again starting this Monday, July 1st, through, to August 30th. What? See, they don't clarify in here, but they clarify it here. That is a big headache. My goodness. So this is going to last until August. Wow. Okay, 5 trains are being added on the fringes of both AM and PM peak periods to provide affected customers with alternative options. Long Island Railroad will be lengthening key trains to ensure that the overall seating capacity into Penn Station is in line with current capacity. We will have 4 morning peak trains to Penn Station will be diverted to Atlantic Terminal. 1 morning peak train to Penn Station will terminate in Jamaica, and 2 trains will not operate. In the evening rush, 2 trains will originate at Atlantic Terminal instead of Penn Station. 2 trains will originate at Jamaica instead of Penn Station. And 3 trains will not operate. In both the morning and evening rush hours, stops will be added to trains as necessary to preserve service opportunities from diverted or canceled trains. And cars will be added to lengthen select existing trains. To help offset the changes and maintain maximum capacity, 2 trains will be added to Penn Station in the early AM rush, as well as 3 trains added in the early afternoon from Penn Station. So you have a couple of affected trains, and let's see. Wow, am I seeing things? It looks like the Babylon branch is going to be the losers out of this one, it seems. I can't believe it. This is good organizing. And you have to give Philip Ng credit. Look at this. The Port Jefferson branch is not impacted. Am I seeing things? I don't see any Huntington and Port Jefferson trains impacted. Wow. So too bad on the Babylon Bridge. You're going to have your flyers canceled. Oh well. Too bad. That's what you get for abusing this railroad. But anyhow, also let's take Amtrak in a way. So let's take a look at the Babylon Branch. The extra AM peak train departing Freeport at 5:43 a.m., Baldwin at 5:46 a.m., Rockville Center at 5:49 a.m., Jamaica at 6:06 a.m., and arriving at Penn Station at 6:24 will continue to operate on weekdays. 6:56 a.m. express train from Wantagh to Penn will be rerouted to Atlantic Terminal, arriving at 7:45 a.m. Uh-oh! So one of the trains are already being diverted to Brooklyn. That means people are going to have to connect with subway service at Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center. Oh well, too bad. An added stop at Jamaica for connecting service to Penn. Okay, so people can still get to Penn via Jamaica or just take the E train. Doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're going to take the E to Penn, alright, no big deal. But anyhow, 7:10 train from Babylon to Penn will not operate during this period. To accommodate affected customers, stops will be added to the 7:21 train from Babylon to Penn and the 7:45 train originating from Merritt to Penn. Wow! So they have to combine one of the trains. Oh boy. It seems you folks in the Babylon branch are going to experience what overcrowding is like now. Just like how the main line always deals with it. Again, karma got to them. This is what they get for once again abusing this railroad. And now they're going to have to experience this for a whole month. Oh, this is just too good. This is just too good. 8:25 train from Freeport to Penn Station stopping at Baldwin, Rockville Center, and Jamaica will be rerouted to Atlantic Terminal. Oh, another train that's being diverted to Brooklyn. Too bad. Now you're going to have to connect with service at Jamaica or take the subway at Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center. Alright, here's afternoon service. An extra train to Babylon departing Penn Station at 3:31 will operate on weekdays through Friday, August 30th. I wonder how that train's going to work out. Is it going to stop at Woodside in Jamaica? That's a good question. I'll have to find out. 434 train from Penn to Babylon will not operate during this period. Customers can take the 437 train to Wata, which will add stops from Seaford through Babylon. Now they have to combine another on-peak train. So once again, overcrowding will happen. 519 train from Penn to Wata will not operate during this period. Customers can take the 524 train to Freeport, which will be adding stops at Merrick, Belmore, and Watawa. 540 train from Penn to Seaford will not operate during this period. Customers can take the 547 train to Freeport, which will have added stops. So they're combining the flyers. This is just too good. I'm enjoying this. This is what karma can bring. This is what I keep saying. You know, when you think you can get your way all the time, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. That's how it works in the end. One last thing. An extra PM peak train will depart Hunters Point Avenue at 7:02 p.m., stopping at Jamaica, Rockville Center, Baldwin, and Freeport, and arriving at 7:42 p.m. Now, me and Matt Camper have discussed this train, and he's even brought this up on his YouTube channel. And I will agree with him on one thing. And being rational here, you know, who's going to take this train? I mean, why are you operating an extra diesel train? I don't think that makes any sense. That diesel equipment should be going to Port Jefferson, not Babylon. So I don't see why they have to add this train. I mean, the Port Jefferson line always gets crowded anyway, even late at night. Because remember, keeping in mind, most normal people don't go to Bot Talk during the weekday period. So I don't know why they have to add this train. I really don't. Now let's go to the Far Rockaway branch. 810 train from Far Rockaway to Penn Station will not operate during this period. The next scheduled train to Penn Station will depart Far Rockaway at 8:21. Or, for direct service to Penn, consider the 7:49 train from Far Rockaway. 4:42 train from Penn to Far Rockaway will originate at Atlantic Terminal. Customers can take the 4:40 train Long Beach train and then change at Jamaica for service to Far Rockaway. Now, I wouldn't recommend the option, but I'll get to the last point in just a second. 5:32 train from Penn to Far Rockaway will originate at Jamaica. Customers at Penn can take the 5:24 train and change at Jamaica for service to Far Rockaway. Now, I'm going to recommend this right now. If you do not want to deal with changing at Jamaica directly, you can take the 2 and the 3 train from Penn and go to Atlantic Avenue and Barclays Center to connect with service that way. Because I'm going to be honest with everybody, if you're going to change at Jamaica, then you're going to make the whole experience bad for everybody else. So I would advise to go to Atlantic Terminal directly. I know I'm crazy for saying this, but again, please avoid Jamaica, because what's going to happen is you're going to delay the train for everybody else coming from Brooklyn. It's not going to be fair for everybody who just had stopped at Nostrand Avenue and then East New York and then just going all the way to Jamaica. That's a big headache right there. Same with Hempstead. You know, if you want to do that, just go to Atlantic Terminal, Brooklyn. That's the bottom line. That's the easiest way to do it. Anyhow, let's go to Hempstead branch. 712 train from Hempstead to Penn Station will be diverted to Atlantic Terminal with an add stop at Jamaica. Okay, that's interesting. So people can connect to Penn that way. Alright. 504 train from Penn to Hempstead will originate at Jamaica at 5:28. What? That's dumb. There's 4 tracks at Atlantic Terminal. Why can't they use an extra track at Atlantic? That doesn't make any sense. Why is it originating at Jamaica? I don't understand that. But anyhow, customers Penn can take the 501 Farmingdale train. Oh, boy. The main line's going to feel a rash of this now. And the 538 train from Penn to Hempstead will originate at Atlantic Terminal 546. So again, if you want to take this train, please go to Atlantic Terminal from Manhattan. Again, you can take the 2 or the 3 train from Penn. Now, if the 2 and the 3 is having any issues, you can take the A or the C line to Hoyt Skimmerhorn Street and you can walk to Atlantic Terminal that way. Or, and I will confirm with my map, I can't pull up my map in a second. Well, let's pull it up on the computer. Make it easier. NYC subway map. See, that's why I love Googling. What you can do is pull it up. If any issue occurs in the 2 and the 3, what you can do is you can also take the C line to Lafayette Avenue. That is another alternative if you want to go that way. But the A is the express, so I would just go to Hoyt Skimmerhorn if any issue does occur. Alright, but if you are going to come from Penn, customers can take the 536 train and then change at Jamaica for service to Hempstead. Long Beach branch. 8:03 a.m. train from Long Beach to Penn will be diverted to Atlantic Terminal with an added stop at Jamaica for connecting service to Penn Station. Alright, so only one train on the Long Beach line. Montauk branch. 6:21 westbound train from Speonk to Penn will depart 3 minutes earlier at 6:18 with added stops at Massapequa Park, Massapequa, and Seaford. 6:16 eastbound train from Speonk to Amagassen will depart 3 minutes earlier at 6:13. And lastly, on the Ronkonkoma line, once again, there will be no direct impact service on the Huntington Port Jefferson line. The extra AM peak train from Farmingdale at 5:12 a.m. stopping at Bethpage at 5:16, Hicksville 5:22, Mineola at 5:30, Jamaica at 5:46, and arriving at Penn at 6:05 will continue to operate. 6:54 a.m. train from Central Islip to Penn Station will terminate at Jamaica. Alright, so that's interesting. An extra train, which normally operates on holiday evenings. So an example would be the train that I'm going to be telling you about right now would normally be operated, let's say, the day before July 4th. There's an example. It will depart Penn Station at 2:02 p.m., stopping at Woodside, Jamaica, Mineola, Hicksville, Bethpage, and local stops around Ronkonkoma. Will operate on weekdays through Friday, August 30th. Alright, so again, please try to avoid going on peak if you can. Ride during the shoulder of peak travel periods. Start at the end of the rush hour for greater seater accessibility. Also, I want to make one more note that there is no affected changes on the Port Washington branch. Quickly want to see one quick thing, because this is important for me, of course. Okay, looks like this is only for... Just confirming. Like to know my information. Alright, good. 236 Babylon train. I'm taking that one when I go from MTA Finance meeting on July 22nd. I just want to make sure, because again, I don't want to get impacted. Okay, there we go. But at least the good news is Port Washington and Port Jefferson Huntington will not be impacted. That's the main thing. So lastly, let's just get into some good news that came out back on Monday from the MTA Long Island Railroad Joint Metro North Committee meeting. And it is, of course, good news announced by President Philip Ang. The Atlantic Ticket Program will be extended for another year. The field study helping Long Island Railroad evaluate customer volumes between Penn Station and Atlantic Terminal program provides substantial discounts for riders traveling between Brooklyn and Queens on the Long Island Railroad. So back on Monday, at the joint Metro-North Long Island Railroad Committee meeting, President Philip Bang announced that the Long Island Railroad will continue its Atlantic Ticket field study for an additional year. Atlantic Ticket offers discounted Long Island Railroad fares for customers traveling between Brooklyn and 7 stations in Queens. The study, which began in June of last year, is measuring the impact the lower fares having on ridership between Long Island Railroad and New York City Transit subways and buses. President Ng on Monday said, "We are seeing some promising results from Atlantic Ticket. We hope this continues to support our common goal of providing more public mass transit options and giving our customers a better commute." With connections to 9 subway lines at Atlantic Terminal, aka Atlantic Avenue and Barclays Center, travel time to Lower Manhattan is comparable to traveling from Penn Station. As part of the metrics it is evaluating through the study, the Long Island Railroad is monitoring customer volumes at Penn Station and Atlantic Terminal to gauge whether there is a notable shift on travel habits. President Ng also said, "We have seen riders move from Penn Station to Atlantic Terminal, balancing riders out across the western terminals." I do apologize, I'm multitasking. Under the study, the fare for a one-way Long Island Railroad ticket between Brooklyn and 7 Queens stations is at $5 at all times of the day, a reduction of 51% from the baseline peak fare of $10.25, and a reduction of 33% from the baseline off-peak fare at $7.50. Now, the only flaw of this program is that the ticket's only good for one day, meaning it's only good for 24 hours. But the good news is there is a monthly ticket program, which I know about very well, which is $60. I believe it's $60. I'm not too sure at the moment, but it's better than nothing, and it gives you a free Metro card. So that's excellent if you want to go to the subways in Brooklyn. And of course, I have used the Atlantic Ticket program. I've used it to go to Jamaica from Brooklyn, and I've even used it to go to Queens Village to catch the Q88 bus to Elmhurst to get me back home to Fresh Meadows, of course. So it's a pretty good program. I love it, and that's why I'm going to keep advocating for it as much as I can. And that's why I'm going to be going to Finance Committee meeting next month to discuss that in Manhattan, which will be on July 22nd. Which I know, that's the only thing I have planned for July at the moment. I don't know what else I'm doing, but as far as that is concerned, I'm making it a priority. I will be at Finance Committee meeting on July 22nd along with Jason Anthony Pinero before the recess starts in August. But let's just continue on with the press release. The combined one-way fare covering Long Island Railroad and New York City portions of the trip is $7.75, $5 for the Atlantic Ticket program, and $2.75 for NYC Transit pay per ride fare. Now, honestly, with my fare, and I know this very well, is that my fare would be $6.35. It obviously with disabled Metro card, of course, in my circumstance. But I have, of course, used this program, and I have done the bus to subway transfer. I've taken the subway from Manhattan to go to the Atlantic Terminal in Brooklyn when I've done my summits this year. I have done it in other occasions. I've even done it in Brooklyn, of course, when I've gone direct to Brooklyn when I've used the subway. And I take Atlantic Ticket eastbound. I don't do it westbound because westbound is sort of a bigger headache. And, you know, I have the convenience of the subway anyway in Queens, so there's that option. And of course you have the stations listed. So I'm not going to really read more into this, but that's good news. I'm very happy that they're extending the program, and hopefully next up we can get the Freedom Ticket done. The Freedom Ticket program that's supposed to go between what was it? Right. Penn to Queens. And I will, of course, again, quickly preview what I'm going to talk about the Finance Committee on July 20th. So that will be a Saturday, so I will have a video regarding that. And I know Omar Vera, I'll bring him up for a second. before I wrap this up, he quickly made a point he couldn't bring up to New York City Transit Committee, and if I have a little bit of spare time or seconds left, I will summarize my remarks by quickly bringing up getting the Q30, Q31 bus back on Archer Avenue to help the York College students get back to campus, because right now with the detour on Jamaica Avenue, it is really a big headache. And I'll quickly want to look this up. When do classes start at York College? Because I will specifically bring up the date. 2019 classes, because maybe they have a calendar or something. Alright, here we go. So there is an academic calendar. I want to confirm that with the MTA, because if they don't know when classes are going to start, then they can't talk to DOT about this. Alright, so first day of classes will begin on August 27th. So again, I will bring that up to the MTA while I'm there in Manhattan, that they should look into making sure on Tuesday, August 27th, that they talk to DOT about construction on Archer, and make sure that eastbound buses are back on the original route along Archer Avenue. So with that out of the way, it officially wraps up this week's Service Changes video. So thank you all very much for watching. A lot of things happen behind the scenes, and I'm not going to get into while I'm editing this video, but thankfully the video should be up at its normal time, 6 a.m. on Friday, like it normally is, so that will be June 28th. So until the next one, take care.